To be humble, to be kind, it is a giving of the peace in your mind. To a stranger, to a friend, to give in such a way that has no end. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other and nothing more. And to be bold, to be brave, it is a thinking that the heart can still be saved. And the darkness can come quick, the danger's in the anger and in the hanging on to it. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other, nothing more. And tell me what it is that you see, a world that's full of endless possibility. And heroes don't look like they used to, they look like you do. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other, nothing more. We are how we treat each other, nothing more. We are how we treat each other.
Good morning. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Berkeley. So glad to be with you this fresh morning of winter, this morning of the second shortest day of the year. Happy solstice to all who celebrate. Thanks everyone who was here last night for making that a cheery time. Welcome, especially if you're visiting with us for the first time. We want to welcome you. We hope that no matter who you are or how you make your living, no matter whom you love or how you experience the sacred, you'll feel welcome among us here. Everyone's invited to stick around after the service, make your way all the way across the atrium into the social hall for lunch. We offer lunch freely after the service each week, and glad for those who can stick around and have some food and conversation together. We gather each week here at the intersection of arts, justice, and spirituality, and we acknowledge as we do that we gather on the unceded territory, traditional territory of the Chochenyo-speaking Ohlone people, Huchiyun. We hope that we will do our part to heal what has been broken, to have the humility and courage to live into a new solidarity with indigenous peoples and the earth. There's a memory table at the back of the sanctuary. If there's something on your heart this morning that you would like named aloud during the service, you're welcome to write it there, a joy or sorrow, a grief or gratitude, and we'll read it aloud. If you'd like, you can always light a candle there too for a silent memory or prayer. And we send our love out to members of our congregation near and far through super cards that you can always sign out there in the atrium after the service. We have been thinking about how to live at the speed of life in this season of lights this month, and we'll be thinking today about that ancient poem from Ecclesiastes, a time to be born and a time to die, what it means to live our lives and be born in this time in which we have each been brought into this world for better or worse. So will you rise in body or spirit? Before we sing our first hymn, we're just going to turn to the back camera there and welcome all of those who are joining us from afar on YouTube or Facebook. So glad that you are here. Welcome, welcome. And then would you turn and greet your neighbor? Just let them know good morning and glad you're here.
Can shake and save the stony earth.
been having a tradition of celebrating birthdays each month. So if you have a December birthday, don't sit down, come on up. We want to take a moment. This is an especially important month to celebrate our birthday people. As one of them, I can say. Those of us born in December, all birthdays are worth celebrating, but especially these birthdays. Come on up. It's a blessing each of us will born. Will you help us light the chalice, December birthdays, while Catherine reads our chalice lighting blessing this morning.
In this season of long nights and afternoon twilight, we look for peacefulness in the familiar rhythms of earth and air, the turning of the solstice, the gentleness of the winter's dark. In this season of rest, we remember the seeds that depend on the blackness of earth, the trees dormant and animals hibernating, the nurturing redemption of this time of year, and we honor the darkness. In this season of cold, we reach out to each other in community and connection, reminded time and again that we need one another in labor and laughter, as hands, as spirit, in hope and in help. May this be for us a season of song, of spirit, of gifts unsought and unexpected, of renewal and love, and of sacred wonder. May it be so. Nobody lit the chalice, people. You got it.
Better late than never.
We light this chalice and celebrate that it really is a blessing each of us are born. And this time of year, we remember that this Unitarian Universalist belief, this theology that we have passed down generation to generation, that every one of us is born one more Messiah, one more Redeemer needed in this hurting and healing world. Thank you.
Hello, friends. I want to tell you a story today that comes from the Miwok people of Bolinas Bay, so pretty close. The story was written down in 1910, but I'm sure it has part of a much longer oral tradition. And I'm going to try to give you the spirit of the story, which is called Why the Hummingbird Has a Red Neck. It's a complicated story, and I encourage you to think about, should it have a different title? Because there's a lot going on in the story. Okay, so once upon a time, a long, long, long time ago, the first peoples lived in the firmament above the sky. And they lived there, and they noticed that there were holes that opened and closed all the time in the north, the south, the east, and the west, opening and closing, opening and closing. And they decided to slip through the holes. And so some slipped through the hole in the east, and they discovered they really liked the sky and the feeling of the wind. And so these people became eagles and falcons and blue jays and the tiny little hummingbird. And other first people slipped through the hole when it opened in the south, which was closest to the sun, and these peoples became lizards and snakes and assorted other things that really like heat, and the trickster coyote. And the people of the west, did I already do west? No. Okay, thank you. The peoples of the west slipped through the hole and found it quite wet. And so they became the fish and the dolphins and the whales and all the things that swim in the seas and the rivers and the ponds. And the people of the north looked through the hole as it opened and closed and opened and closed, and they saw trees and hills, and they became the squirrels and the bears and the moose and the caterpillar, who enjoyed the forests. And so all of these first peoples in their many different forms lived together happily. They gave thanks to the sky for giving them all the goodness, and all was well, or all was mostly well. Because for reasons in this story I don't really understand, none of these people liked the marsh wren, whose name was Chaka, and who lived in the bulrushes by the water. And nobody really liked Chaka at all. They weren't kind to Chaka. They didn't want to share their food with Chaka. They would occasionally give Chaka crayfish. Chaka would say, "Please, can I have some grub?" They'd be like, your feathers are so dingy and unattractive, and your voice is kind of squeaky and annoying, but here's one grub. And over time, it got worse and worse, and everyone was just kind of mean to Chaka. And Chaka's sadness and anger just kept growing and growing. Why is everyone treating me so badly? And finally, one day, it just boiled over, and Chaka announced in their squeaky voice, "I am going to shoot out the sun." And everyone laughed, because marsh wrens are very, very small and have very squeaky voices, and they laughed and they said, "Do what you can. We don't think you have the ability." But Chaka had a very sharp beak, and it turns out very sharp arrows. And so, sent the sharp arrow up into the sky. It hit that hole in the south just right, and suddenly, the sun was gone, and all was darkness. The fire was gone. All of the animals were living suddenly in a very dark, dim place, because Chaka the marsh wren had put out the sun. What to do? what to do. The coyote, the trickster coyote, began to think and think. This cannot stand. We will starve. If there's no light, there's no food. And so the coyote thought and thought, carefully standing in one place, because if you moved around, you tripped over the roots or you ran into the brambles. It was not a very safe place to be. And the coyote thought and thought and thought. And as she was thinking, she looked up and she thought, I saw a tiny little glimmer of light up there through the south hole. Just a tiny little glimmer. That's the answer. We have to get it. And then Coyote looked down. Of course, didn't see very much because it was very dark, but looked down and thought, I can't get to that hole. Well, I don't know. How are we going to solve this problem? And they thought, and they thought, and they thought some more, and then Coyote heard something by their ear. Thought, that sound is very familiar. That's my friend Hummingbird. Hummingbird said, hello, Coyote. And Coyote said, how are you? And Hummingbird said, well, you know, it's very dark, and there's not a lot to eat. And Coyote said, look up in the sky. I think I see a tiny glimmer of light. Hummingbird looked, said, yes, I see it. Coyote said, could you try? Hummingbird said, I'm very small. I don't know if I can do it. But you know what? I have to try. I mean, we can't live in darkness forever. And Hummingbird was gone. Up, 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 up into the sky. And the hole opened and closed and opened and closed. And just as it opened, Hummingbird slipped through. And there was fire and the sun. And Hummingbird grabbed up a piece of the fire. This part of the story is very confusing because hummingbirds do not have hands. But somehow got a piece of the fire, stored it right here on her neck, and began to fly back down. And as she flew through the hole, this colors began to return. There was pink and orange. And then little rays of light began to come out from the hummingbird, and the sun had returned. And the hummingbird landed, and everyone cheered because the darkness was gone. Hummingbird had brought back the light. And because of this, because of holding the fire right here, Hummingbird now always has a red neck. And all of the peoples and the animals gathered together. They held hands and paws and hooves and tails, and they celebrated the return of the sun. And some of them even took the time to apologize to Chaka, the marsh wren. And that is my story. If we could rise in body and spirit, and we're going to sing the children out. And parents, you can find your children in the Sophia room after church.
We don't have Karen Werner here this morning after all, so I'm going to share a poem with you. This is from David White, What to Remember When Waking. In that first hardly noticed moment in which you wake. Coming back to this life from the other, more secret, movable, and frighteningly honest world where everything began. There is a small opening into the new day which closes the moment you begin your plans. What you can plan is too small for you to live. What you can live wholeheartedly will make plans enough for the vitality hidden in your sleep. To be human is to become visible while carrying what is hidden as a gift to others. To become visible while carrying what is hidden as a gift to others. To remember the other world in this world is to live your true inheritance. You are not a troubled guest on this earth. You are not an accident among other accidents. You were invited from another and greater night than the one from which you have just emerged. Now, looking through the slanting light of the morning window toward the mountain presence of everything that can be, what urgency calls you? What urgency calls you to your one love? What shape waits in the seed of you to grow and spread its branches against a future sky? What shape waits in the seed of you to grow and spread its branches against a future sky? Is it waiting in the fertile sea, in the trees beyond the house, in the life you can imagine for yourself, in the open and lovely white page on the writing desk? I invite you to take a deeper breath, to settle more comfortably into your seat, to feel your seat in the pew or your feet on the floor, to feel your connection down to this good earth, and turn inward with me. For everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven, a time to be born, a time to die. In this time, we can't help but ask, how will we learn, us human beings, to live and die on a transforming planet? The unworldly brightness of the age grasps for our attention, sells us a vision of ourselves that flattens our features and invites us to conform to a gray vision of safety and sameness. The Spirit beckons with a deeper question: for what compelling reason are you alive? Have you been called here to hold the sun against your throat? To coax another creature out from the dark, to use their wings to soar and give? What star are you here to pursue? What is the horizon that speaks your name? A time for war and a time for peace, the poet sings. Perhaps what war have you come to wage, or what war to end? What peace do you bring your people here on earth? O mystery of the sun and the moon, holiness that turns the earth, hold us in your long memory. When we are frenzied and our bodies can't keep up with the relentless pace of our lives, shorten our days and dim the lights. Hold us in darkness until we can remember who we are and feel the shape of the earth that has given us birth. When we are frightened and hope seems a flimsy thing, remind us that the longest night has always come to an end. May we rest in stillness, in quiet, in this mystery together. in this community of care and witness. We hold one another through the seasons of our lives and lift up those joys and sorrows among us. On December 19th, Victoria Bowen celebrated her 25th anniversary since signing the membership book. Says Victoria with us online this morning, it is a date worth noting. Victoria co-chairs our membership and welcoming team with Lonnie Mosley. So glad you're here. And we appreciate our religious education children, their drawings and cookie decorating, and 40 other volunteers who wrote cards and baked cookies and created and delivered holiday remembrance bags, brightening the holidays, creating more loving community for 127 members of our UUCB family, 80 and better, or younger people known to us to have had a rough year in 2024. With Patrick Cullinane, we're remembering Lamar Morrison, who used to grace and nurture an abundance of poinsettias on our chancel every Christmas. May their memory be a blessing. Cynthia Asprodite's birthday is today. Happy birthday, Cynthia. There's another birthday here, too. I recognize yours as well. Catherine, so touched and grateful for the Pastoral Care Committee gift bag. It has been a hard year for Richard especially. So lovely to be held by this community. Thinking of you both. Karen Elliott is delighted to share her joy that her daughter Naomi is visiting from Olympia, Washington. Welcome. And she also shares sorrow that her sister Pat Turner, music minister at the City of the Lord Zion Church in Oakland, passed away this morning. Sister Pat's songs have enriched Karen's life for years. May her memory be a blessing. And Brent asks that his daughter Sydney Ellen be covered in prayer as she travels back to Washington, D.C. to work for Senator Schiff's office and begin another journey next year. Blessings on all those who serve in these hard times. Francie shares, Ricky, you stole bases and stole our hearts. You're gone too soon. With all love for Ricky Henderson. And someone else shares, remembering Ricky. You brought such joy to the game and to life. For all that we have named aloud and all that yet remains in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts, may we know that what each of us holds here in this room or wherever you are joining us is held in the loving embrace of this community and by a deeper love, a nameless love that knows no bounds, and that cannot and will not let us go. May it be so, and amen. I invite you to remain seated now as we sing once more together. May your life be as a song.
Resounding with the dawn, to sing with the light, and softly serenade the stars, ever dancing circles in the night. May your life be as a song.
song, resounding with the dawn, to send away the light and softly serenade the stars, ever dancing circles in the night, ever dancing circles in the night. May your life be as a song, resounding with the dawn, to sing away the light and softly serenade the stars, ever dancing circles in the night, ever dancing circles in the night.
What a time to be born. Do you know the story of your birth? I actually do want to find out a little bit. Do you know any stories about your own birth? Do you know how long you were? A few people know that. How many ounces you weighed? Anything else? Any other pieces of your birth story, Ellie? 6 weeks premature. Yeah, that would be a story to share.
Spent the first 6 weeks
In an incubator.
That counts for everything that's wrong with
Absolutely. You can keep blaming that till the end of your days. Yes, the first 6 weeks in an incubator. We're going to talk about incubators in the new year, or the futures we incubate will be our next worship series. Yeah. What else? Yeah. Feet first. Wow. And I'm so glad everyone's here. I hope, yes. Oh, Prince Charles born on the same day and really not okay. He got all the attention. Yeah. Mother and baby doing fine. Father in the hospital on the birth announcement. Yeah, Marin. Born in the Bronx. Oh, that story enough, huh? Yeah, a couple more. You came out dancing to a gypsy band on Easter Monday. Oh, beautiful. Maggie, you got one? No. Okay, one more. Alice, yeah. Hear you down the hall screaming for food. These stories of our birds, we don't. Sometimes people know the weather that was going on. Do you know the weather that was happening? But we don't tend to tell. December 21st, you can guess, in the Bronx. Yes, I think I can. We don't though tend to understand our birth stories. Most of us in the cultures we're coming from here in this room, we don't just find out when we were born that we were born into a legacy that touches every corner of the cosmos. We don't hear that it was a miraculous moment, a magical moment that the stars danced and the angels sang at our birth. The way that famous birth story that we tell this time of year. Birthing is hard, I understand. And whether it's the actual birthing of labor, or the birthing on that clean white page that David talks about, or birthing the sun as Hummingbird did in the story, whatever it is that you are called to birth, to bring forth, or when you were called to be born, it wasn't easy. What I know about my birth story, a couple of things. There's a little bit of that magic in it. My mom saw a psychic just a few days before I was born because I was also going to be born feet first. I was breech in the womb, and the psychic used crystals. I'm asking, my mom's here, so I can actually verify the story this time, to turn me in the womb. It's a story that I don't know what to believe about, but then it led into the next magical moment of my birth, which was when in the hospital room, surrounded by women, my two moms and their lesbian friends, and the woman who was the doctor helping me to be born, and maybe the other women there, they called in for the horoscope reading of the day. You're getting the picture of who my moms were, right? So they call the horoscope, somebody comes in, people born on this day, so it comes in to be read in the birth room. People born on this day will be surrounded by members of the opposite sex. These birth stories, these stories of where we come from and what they might have to say about who we are and what we might have to do in this world, in this life. I remember being enchanted by the local sage Gary Snyder's description of his time spent among the Aboriginal folks in Australia. He talked about ride he took through the country on the back of a pickup truck, sitting with a couple of Aboriginal friends he had made, and they began to tell him the dream story of the place that they were in. Dream stories like that story of the hummingbird, or these stories and especially for the Aboriginal Australians, they're this epic story of the entirety of creation. And everything that exists has its place in this dreamtime story, right? The time from before, the time that lives in this other world, like David White was talking about, this time of mythic imagination. And in that dreamtime story, Gary Snyder's listening, and it doesn't all quite make sense. It's all happening kind of fast, and the things don't add up. And then he realizes that the problem is that these are stories that are meant to be told while walking through the places. And they're driving at the speed of a truck. And so this guy telling the story can't quite keep up with the stories he's telling, because the stories aren't just words or ideas, they belong to the place. They belong to the features of the land that they're traveling across. These stories and the place that they come from can't be separated apart. And in fact, this is the part that was most enchanting to me, when people are conceived in this culture, that moment of conception doesn't come at fertilization, it comes at the quickening, when a mother first feels the baby kick in her womb. The mother knows to remember exactly where she is when she feels that first movement in her womb, because in their tradition, that's the place where the soul comes up from the earth to enter the body. And that place is the place that this child belongs to and comes from. And that place is not just a piece of land, it also is a piece of the dreamtime story. And so the elders give when this child is born, and as it grows up, give this child its piece of their story. Sing this child its place in the cosmology of their people. And so when you're born, you don't just own a day for your birth, you own this piece of the story, this place that you belong to. It comes with an animal who's your sacred animal, a part of the tribe. You become a member of a club within the community based on this place to which you belong. I wish that for us, that kind of belonging, that kind of knowing we are part of something so much bigger, that knowing how small we are, that we still are part of the majesty of it all. At my family, we try and remind ourselves of this with a song that my brother can't stand. Actually, no one I've ever been in a relationship can stand. It's obnoxious, but it's kind of delightful too. It goes like this: God danced the day you were born, so grateful for the gift of you. Oh, no, I can't remember unless I sing it. Okay, here you go. God danced the day you were born, and the angels did the bump to Gabriel's horn. God danced the day you were born, so grateful for the gift of you. I saw God do the funky chicken, stepping and kicking in blue suede shoes. I saw God do the boogaloo, woo! So grateful for the gift of you. Okay, this is the best part. Now, some folks say that long ago God could not dance to save her soul, but people, I've seen her shake that jelly roll, just thinking about the gift of you. Oh, I'm sorry if I've inflicted any of your families with that now. In Jesus' birth story, it was by naming the lineage, the whole lineage. You can, I imagine, name your parents and your grandparents. Can you name your great-grandparents? I can go about just that far. Your great-great, anybody can go 5 generations back? How about 6 or 7 or 8? Any of us? You can, Jim. How far can you go back? To the time of Henry VI. Incredible. Okay, we have a longer conversation to have. I don't think even you, though, Jim, can go back the 42 generations that the book of Matthew begins with. So-and-so begat so-and-so, begat so-and-so, begat so-and-so. If you've ever tried to read the Bible, you know pages and pages of begats. 42 generations to name this birth matters. This being coming into the world is unlike any other who has ever existed. You have a special purpose in being born. Or how about this? After 14 billion years of dancing, colliding stardust, 4 billion years of a watery planet circling a star at just the right distance for life to evolve and thrive, after hundreds of millions of years of evolution brought a species of primate to the point where it could tell stories and learn to cooperate in vast numbers, cooperate so effectively as to dominate the whole planet. After tens of thousands of years of people experimenting with far-ranging cultural modes, finding endlessly creative ways to bind together with rituals and myths and songs and dance, after some of these humans began to segregate themselves from the rest of the planet's ecosystem, began to attune to an only human world of alphabetic language, began to reshape the life around them through domesticated agriculture in a time just after these same humans harnessed the resources of the world they had now found themselves alienated from, and their growing understanding of physics to quickly upend life across the planet through an industrial revolution. As this society of industrial growth roared to its inherent limits, and the planet, which they had forgotten could speak, began to raise its voice back, you were born. You were born a witness to the wonder of earthlings breaking through the planet's atmosphere for the very first time, venturing beyond our blue boat home. A witness to toxins filling the skies, to rising seas, and the sixth mass extinction of our biosphere. Born to a humanity unsure of its humanness, unsure if it any longer belonged in the world it had tried to make an object, an alien other. You were born to a people who had colonized and been colonized, born into a family that had been dislocated over and over, perhaps a family of adapters, of people seeking new hope, new opportunities, of people trampling over sacred ground they hardly knew. You were born one more Redeemer, one more wondrous life force capable of awe and sorrow and love and hope. You were born to the tribe of stardust, to the Sapiens clan, just at the moment when we were becoming viscerally aware that our whole planet shares a common destiny. You were born with gifts and a calling and a unique role to play in a time of great change. You were born from the vast, mysterious into the finite and crying particular existence of you. Your humanness and cosmic majesty, the simple truth of your DNA and the divine wonder of your being at all, calling to you with a holy, urgent demand that you live the life only you can. You are not a troubled guest on this earth. You're not an accident amidst other accidents. You were invited from another and greater night than the one from which you have just emerged. What urgency calls you to your one love? What shape waits in the seed of you to grow and spread its branches against a future sky? Amen, and blessed be.
Hi, I'm Lisa Maynard. I'm your treasurer, and I was the chair of last year's stewardship team. We commit ourselves to our UUCB community in a variety of ways, and one of them is by pledging our financial support during our annual stewardship campaign. Today, it's my pleasure to introduce to you the co-chairs of this year's stewardship team, Ariel Smith-Iyer and Greg Lemure. I'm so excited that they're contributing their considerable talents to this essential project.
Hey, everybody. We're excited to get to work together after serving on the search team the year before last. Both of us. We thought a theme in line with the popular concept of love languages. We thought this would be a great way to get folks thinking about all the ways we individually give to UCB, kind of an elaboration on the idea of time, talent, and treasure. This theme focuses on 5 concepts that you probably know about that you can see up on the slide: acts of service, quality time, words of affirmation, giving and receiving gifts, and physical touch.
We like how this theme also fits within our newly articulated shared UU values, which put love at the center. We believe this theme for the upcoming pledge drive will help us move closer toward that aspiration of centering love in all we do. We look forward to delving into that deeper in the new year ahead. We're excited to be joined by Celine Fabiano and Paul Hudson. If this theme excites you and you'd like to be part of investigating and inspiring generosity here at UUCB, we welcome you to join us. Chat with Greg or I after, or maybe you just want to talk about your love language. Whatever it is, glad to chat. Thank you.
Thank you.
And now to another aspect of our commitment to our UUCB community. In our covenantal community, we share the responsibility for pursuing our mission by giving generously of our time, talent, and treasure. I invite you to support the work of our church by giving electronically, by scanning the QR code on the back of your badge, or by putting a cash or check donation into the donation envelope that you'll find on the back of the pew in front of you, and then putting it into the donation box beside the fountain in the atrium as you leave the service. Each week, half of our offering is shared with a nonprofit Good Neighbor organization. Our Good Neighbor organization for December, Tiny Village Spirit, works to end the crisis of homelessness by engaging communities in constituent-led development of emergency housing villages and by community organizing to support systemic change that creates housing justice. Will you join me in rededicating ourselves to our mission? If you haven't memorized, you will. We dedicate our offering and ourselves to the mission of this congregation, to create loving community, inspire spiritual growth, and encourage lives of integrity, joy, and service. Thank you.
There's always so much happening in the life of our community, and I just want to lift up a couple of things. You can always find this, of course, on our website under the week ahead, or to subscribe to that newsletter. Just a couple of things to lift up. One, not this photo, but so many of the slides you've been seeing this month are the generous gift of Paul King, one of our members, these incredible photographs. So thank you, Paul, for those. Just stunning images of the night sky. We have our Christmas Eve services coming up this Tuesday, one service at 5 o'clock and another at 10. Especially for that 5 o'clock, parking is really tight, so if you can, carpool or even park on the streets if you're here early to leave room for all those visitors coming for that service. Look forward to celebrating the holiday with you if you can be there. And then on the week after that, Christmas Day, the 25th, through New Year's Day, the 1st, our offices are closed. The church staff will be taking their holiday, so please see you in the new year. We'll get back to work on January 2nd. Let's rise in body or in spirit and sing a last hymn together. Oh, I'm sorry, Bafana. This one didn't make it in, but you should definitely stick around for Bafana today after the service. It's at 2 o'clock. It's going to be a magical musical event. All right, let's rise in body or spirit and sing We Three Kings.
We three kings of Orient are, bearing gifts to dwellers afar. Field and fountain, moor and mountain, following yonder star. Star of wonder, star of light, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us through this perfect night. Frankincense till have I, incense on Sanctity nigh, prayer and praising all are raising, worship God most high. Most star of wonder, star of light, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us through this perfect night.
You reach out a hand, touch a shoulder, let us be connected. Truly, I say to you, there was a star on the day you were born. The angels did herald this new beginning. Whatever it is you are here to do, to live, to be, may it be done. It's a blessing you were born. Amen.